Hello and welcome back to the When You're podcast, the podcast for when you're doing anything. Today we're talking about when you're in New York City, baby. That's right. Today is officially my last day here in the city. I leave on a plane tonight back home, and I just gotta say I love this city. It's so cool. It's been so much fun. Being a tourist is very exhausting, but I mean, when you're in the this is just an amazing city, So. I'm gonna I'm really excited to share with you guys what I kind of did and how I feel about the city. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's start from the top. So I was arriving to New York City, so I had to take a plane. I had to take a plane. I'm not gonna drive to New York City. You out of your mind? Have you seen the streets in New York? It's impossible to drive there. I don't know how people don't constantly crash into each other. It's a lot of traffic. There was literally one guy in the street got blocked off of traffic. He was driving in his Tesla and he got blocked off in the road because they were doing construction work. And he's just like, there was a whole line behind him. And he was like in his Tesla, just like shaking his head, just so upset that he was the guy that they decided to block off. So no, I did not drive over there. I did not take a train to New York. All right. That also would have been, I did eventually once I got there. I did take a train to New York, but it's like not the full way. Anyways, I took a plane over there and arriving was some of the fun. It was really stressful. Not stressful. What am I talking about? It was just, it was a little uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable in the ways that it's just like, I feel like everybody has been through that experience on a plane ride where it's just like you're not feeling it. It doesn't feel good. You can't relax. It's not nice. It's not a good experience. So the plane ride on the way over there was a little harsh. It was just, I got the middle seat, so I was in between people, and the law states that I get both armrests, but I didn't particularly use those. I was trying to sleep because on the way over there, once we land, we're basically there already. So it's morning over there. So I wanted to get as much rest as I could on the plane before we got there, but there were a couple of obstacles. None of it which as bad. It's just like it's unfortunate. So there was two babies crying on the plane, and I wouldn't say they were like constantly crying, but they would have little outbursts here and there, and it made it very uncomfortable, especially for the families ahead, because for them, they were just kind of like trying to get their babies to quiet down, and it's just like that. It must be so difficult to be that parent, to be that mom or that father on the plane, and your baby just starts crying, and you're like, I want you to stay quiet and go to sleep, you know what I mean? But it just, I can only imagine for them, I know they feel it. I know they're kind of like, darn it, I didn't want this to, they're like, I didn't want this to happen, you know what I mean? They're just kind of like, I didn't want to be that person whose baby like ruins the flight for everybody else or can't let anybody sleep, but it happens. Other than that, it was just I didn't have like a neck pillow. I didn't have like a really anything to, what's it called? I didn't really have anything to relax or like to stay comfy. So I would try like leaning on the seat in front of me. That was uncomfortable. I tried leaning back. That was uncomfortable. I tried, figuring out a position on the side to do it. It just wasn't working. So the plane ride over there wasn't the best, but it also wasn't the worst. I did have a pretty good time. It was nice getting like a nice apple juice. A nice apple juice was pretty cool. And, it was all just very, I like being on planes. Maybe that's just me, you know what I mean? Obviously, the baby crying and the uncomfortability and sitting down for so long can be uncomfortable for some people. But like, I don't know. I just like the aesthetic. I like the being on a plane and flying. Something about it I just really enjoy. And I don't think I'm alone in that. It's just like I don't know. I like being up in the air. I like flying. I like being in an airplane. It's the people that are the problem. It's the people. So, anyways, we get to the city. Well, first we get to the airport, and then from the airport we have to take a bus to get to the air train, and then from the air train we take the air train to another station, which in turn takes us to a train, and then from that train we land at another station, and then from that station we go to the we went to our hotel, and it's like right there in Times Square. It's right there in the city. So it was our first, it was my first time in the city, and it was so bizarre walking through it all. Just like, I mean, you see it on TV, you watch it in movies, you have an idea of what the city is going to feel like, right? You kind of are like, have a vision of it in your head. And for me, I had been to San Francisco, so I kind of had an idea of city life, but city life in San Francisco and city life in New York are two completely different things, but they're also very similar. So it's kind of like they're the same, but they're not. They have a different vibe about them, and I like them both each for their unique unique city presence. If that makes sense, like they're just. They have the same feel, but not at the same time. I don't know. I had to really explain it, but I remember I was walking through the streets of New York for the first time and just looking up at all the buildings, all the skyscrapers, it was a beautiful day as well. And it looked like straight out of a painting. It looked like it was just straight up, it was just a beautiful picture. It felt cartoonish. It felt like somebody just drew this for me, and it was absolutely mind-boggling to me that more people weren't looking up. I mean, there were obviously more tourists. They were all taking in the city. But, like, for me, looking up at it, regular people enjoy that on a day-to-day basis. They just sit down. They just go outside and, boom, city. Like, that's nuts to me that they get to experience that daily, especially coming from like a suburban neighborhood or just some small town. It's just like, it's pretty crazy that people just get to live there and get to enjoy that. I don't know. It was just nuts. And the whole time I was there, I just kept thinking to myself, like, I'm on the other side of the country. Like, this isn't, this isn't like, it feels like a whole different, it's a big, shift in life, but it's like, this is still America. Like, this is America. That was nuts to me. I was just like, because I remember just thinking to myself, like, it can't be like, it's obviously not going to be, it's not going to be that huge of a change, right? We're just going to another part of America, right? But when you get there, when you are there, you genuinely feel like you're in like a whole new, it's just a huge shift in the world. And you can't believe that the place where you live and this place are on a part of the same group. They're a part of the same country. They like coexist, sort of. So like, if you live on a farm in Kansas and then you go to New York City, you're like, how in the world is like plain flat land and grass and this big block of concrete jungle supposed to be like in the same city? Like, that's so nuts. It's so crazy. So I was just baffled that we were on the other side of the country and that this was also just home to people. But city life was nuts. It was just constant go. Cars. Subway. It was just constant people selling stuff on the street. And it was the food vendors. You couldn't go. I was worried when we got there, I was like, all right, I just really want to get a souvenir. I wanted to get like a I Heart New York t-shirt. I wanted to get a hoodie. I wanted to get like the whole... I wanted to dress up for it, And when we got there, I was kind of like, all right, so what's the best store? Where can I find it? I thought I was gonna like have to struggle to find like a real New York souvenir shop. Little did I know, they're on every single street. They're literally, you walk down you take 10 steps in any direction, and you'll find a New York shop willing to sell you the latest and greatest, New York merchandise. So it's just kind of like, oh, what was I thinking? And then like they sell hot dogs, they sell hamburgers, they sell halal, they sell everything. They sell falafel. I mean, it was just nuts. And I just kept thinking to myself, like, when I see a street vendor here where I live, I'm kind of just like, oh, that's gross. It's not going to be good quality food. It's just not, that's just how it is. But then like over there, because they're so frequent and so many of them, I think like they have to make the quality better. Otherwise somebody will make good stuff and people will just gravitate towards that. So if you and I both have hot dog carts in New York City and I make mine cheap, which is like not good quality, and you make yours better quality and like a little bit more expensive, then we're going to see like the difference. People are going to figure out the difference. They're like, that's a bad hot dog cart. This one's a good hot dog cart. It's just a little like $1 more. And then people are going to be like, all right, I can do that. I can spend like an extra dollar. So then you have to increase your price because you're losing all of your competition and they're making more money. So it's just kind of like this constant battle, I think. I didn't really have all that much from the street vendors. I mostly like went to a restaurant, not really, just eating whatever was sold on the side of the street. But anyways, Times Square is, oh my goodness. You see it in movies. You see it in all over the place. And you kind of think to yourself like, oh my gosh, like it's going to be like this complete, you think it's just going to be absolute chaos, and you think it's going to be just something. I mean, it was all of that. I'm trying to explain it in a way that's like, you think when you get there, it's just going to be like they're playing you would think like, oh, it's not really like all of those advertisements all at once, or it's not going to be like, maybe they play like a movie on the side, but no, it really is a bunch of advertisements. They really have the Coca-Cola right there, the advertisement. They have everything there. It's just so bizarre and nuts to think about. And so obviously when I was there, it was just so, how can I put it? It was a lot more spacious. It wasn't as like full of people and crowded. I mean, it can be, and it would be from time to time. It just like, it just wasn't so compact. I thought I was gonna have to be pushing people to walk, but actually, it's just like you walk around, you see it, you look around. So it was pretty nice. It was pretty big, and there were perfect opportunities to take pictures. Obviously, there were a lot of people, and just ad after ad after ad, and then you see like your musical artists up there, you see Victoria's Secret up there, you see perfumes, you see drinks, you see just everything up there. It's so crazy to think about, but it's also like a lot of fun, and you kind of absorb it all in, and you think to yourself like, wow, imagine how much would that cost, to be on Times Square and for that long and that repetitive? Like, is there, I don't know what that cost is, but I imagine it's pretty big. So anyways, one of the ads in Times Square was P. Diddy. P. Diddy had dropped a new album. I think it was that Friday. That Friday, I was there. He had dropped a new album, and he was just getting some promo out there. And for some reason, I don't know what was going on, but there was a bunch of people crowded in New York, in Times Square at that time. And I kind of saw some camera crew and people. And then wouldn't you know it, outside of because it's like a big square, it's just a big square electronic ad. So it kind of like, it's like a TV essentially. But then guess what? The TV opens up and guess who it is? It's P. Diddy. P. Diddy walks out into Times Square and he just is like, he drops a new album. And then on top of all of that, he gets a key to the city from the mayor of New York, I think. He was there in Times Square before my very own eyes. He was right there in front of me. And he was just like, yeah, man, so thankful to the city. I grew up in, oh gosh, I can't remember where he said he grew up. I think it was Harlem. I think he said he grew up in Harlem. And oh my goodness, just seeing him up there, I was like, what is going on? What is going on in the city? This guy, I was just kind of like, he's right there on top of his ad for his new album. And he's kind of just, I don't know, dude. It was so weird. I was like excited and I was kind of like, this is so cool. Cause like nothing like that has ever happened to me. But at the same time, it's like, it's New York, right? Like crazy stuff like that must happen all the time, or they must do crazy stuff like that every so often. But it was so funny to think and bizarre to imagine he comes out of his own billboard, out of his own advertisement. He gets a key to the city. And then after all of that, he starts singing like 3 of his hit songs. So he was like, do you want me to perform? Do you want me to perform? And I was just like, okay, yeah, perform. And, you're cheering with the crowd and you're singing along to the songs or whatnot. And you just see him up there. He's just doing this thing. He's having fun. And then he like slowly takes off his jacket. Everybody's like cheering for him. I don't know, dude. It was really funny. But it was also kind of like a little awkward because like not everybody in Times Square was cheering. It was kind of just like we were watching him. It wasn't like everybody was like clapping their hands it wasn't like a concert, where like everybody is expecting music. It was kind of like, I don't know, it was kind of just like a weird moment, but hopefully he did get what he wanted, in that moment. And if he's doing like a documentary or whatever, about this like whole experience or whatnot, I'm definitely in it. Cause I could see myself on the big screen behind him, because they would have like 2 camera crews. So the one was facing towards it and they were like raised up on a thing so that they could get the right camera angle of him. And then there was another one up there with P. Diddy and they would look out into the crowd. And I was in the crowd, so you could see me. And I was very noticeable because I was wearing my purple hoodie and I was very much standing out. So, it was kind of funny. So anyways, I know, right? Like that's nuts. That was just on day 1. We're still on day 1. We walked around the city a little bit more. We went to, we saw the Empire State Building, which was, the Empire State Building just looks so cool. It's not really, you can go inside of it, but I think like the most important thing is that kind of just like admiring it from the outside is kind of just the cool part. It's kind of the fun aspect of being in New York is getting to see that building. And it's really nice. It's really good to look at. So took a couple of pictures of that. Then we had to go to the subway for a lot of transportation. And the subway was great. I had no complaints about the subway. It just got a little crowded sometimes, but you just move along. Nobody really says anything. Nobody's really mean. Nobody's like pushing or shoving, except for like if they need to get somewhere, they say, excuse me. Like, it's not that. I was expecting it to be like completely packed, everybody pushing each other, everybody's in a bad mood. Just kind of like the stereotypical movie stuff where it's just kind of everybody's screaming at each other, or there's something always happening, or there's always like, they try to make it seem like it's very violent and very angry out there when it's really just like, it's really just a regular place, and everybody's trying to just get to where they're going and live, peacefully, live quietly. You know what I mean? Nobody's trying to cause problems. It's just, that's how it is. But when I first got down to the subway, I realized how hot it is down there. And I'm sure there's an explanation as to why, but like for me, I was burning up down there, and it was so hot. I was just completely just trying to figure out like, why is it burning down here? I was like, why is it so... It must be a paradise during the winter down there because it's so hot. But all I can really say is that like every time I would go down there, I just knew I was getting into like this... I don't know, just kind of like this sauna. Essentially, you're going in there to get cooked a little bit. You know what I mean? That's what it is, what it's like down there. So it was good. And it really wasn't like in the movies where you're maybe pushing and shoving other people or something like to that effect. It was really just a nice place to go and hop on a train and get to wherever you need to go, whether it's uptown in the Bronx. You have to take the R train, the N train, the W train. You have to take the 1 train, the 2 train, the 3 train. You have to, there's so many ways to take the subway and to explore the city. It just was a matter of figuring out like, okay, which one do we need to take and how long will it take to get there? And then once we get there, when do we get off? And then from there, how do we get to the hotel and back and stuff like that? That was us trying to figure it out. So anyways, after that, I went to a cathedral, St. Patrick's Cathedral. And it was so beautiful in there. It was pretty quiet. I know there were a lot of people walking around. I was one of them, obviously. It was filled with people. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know why I was so amazed at like how quiet it was in there. I was just thinking to myself like, it's so peaceful and serene in here. And they have a special room for the Eucharist, and that one's also closed off, so I only imagined how quiet it was in there. I didn't get to go in there, but I did go to the cathedral. I did some prayers. I paid some respects, and yeah, it was just so beautiful to look at. And I was kind of just thinking about like, oh man, I wish I could. I wonder what Mass is like here, but I imagine it's very packed. It's very full. Maybe tourists come in. I don't know how it all works, but it was just nice to look at, and it was just so different, but it was very, very nice, and I liked that cathedral. So then after that, it was time to go eat. And the food in New York City is, it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I didn't get fast food while I was over there. I didn't even get the hot dog carts all that much. I think I went like one time, but that was one time. Mostly I was thinking to myself, like, I need to try local or like real restaurants in the city. So, I'm trying to think. First we ate the ramen. I went to a Japanese ramen place, and that was really good. I didn't just get ramen. I got like ramen, and I got like a pork bun. I also got this really delicious lemonade, and like some water, whatever. So my first time trying it, and I was really amazed at how much they give you. First of all, they give you like a huge bowl, and then after that huge bowl, they have like the broth was so. You know how like maybe if you have like a cup of noodles, you have like an idea of like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be, but it's not. And then you try like the real thing, or like people like actually using real broth. They put more than just like a powder in there or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you taste it, and you're just kind of like, oh my goodness, this is what's been out here all this time, or there's a way to upgrade at least. You know what I'm saying? You can't stick to doing the same old stuff. There is a way to get better, So I had some of that, and you know what? Let me just talk about some of the places I went to go eat. So I had ramen, that was really good. I also had John's of Bleecker pizza. I went to John's of Bleecker pizza, and oh my goodness, that was the best pizza ever. I'm so thankful I got to go over there. I went there twice actually. I went there once. I just got like a regular pepperoni pizza, and then I went again and I got like some extra stuff added on top of it. But it was just so the way that it worked was it was so light, but it was very crispy, but fluffy at the same time. The dough a little bit. But it was also like the sauce had an amazing tang. It was cheesy, and they put like the right amount of pepperoni, and it was just soft and flaky, but like crispy at the same time. It was just, it was really good pizza, and I'm thankful I got to go twice. It was really the best pizza. We also tried like another pizza place, but that was like later on in the day, and by the time, and we wanted to take it back to the hotel. And by the time I got to the hotel, it was more so like, it was a little cold and kind of like not as warm as it could have been. So it was just kind of like, it was all right. It was good, but I'm not going to say it was like top of the line. John's of Bleecker is definitely top of the line. Then I got Chinese food. So there was this other noodle place that I tried. It was like Yunnan noodles. It was like ramen, but they use rice noodles, and that one was really good as well. So I got like a beef broth, and they put like the meat, the beef in there already, and then they serve it to you, and then you put like the extra additives in there. Like they have like egg. They have like tofu, they have ham, they have like a little tiny shrimp, they have like, what is it? Corn you can put in there. They had all kinds of toppings and stuff you can add into it. And yeah, I tried that. It was really delicious. It was very hot. It was, the bowl is really big, but it's also, I don't know what kind of, it was just, I don't want to say it was stone. It was just, I can't, it's like clay. It was like a clay pot of sorts, right? Like it kind of felt like that. And it just held all the heat in there. And it was really hot. It was very delicious. The rice noodles were soft, but they weren't like too soft. They like are mushy. They were just at the perfect soft, and the durability, the consistency, the feel of it, to where you can enjoy it. You know what I mean? It was that good. And not only that, I went to breakfast in Chinatown as well. And in Chinatown, they have this Spongy's Cafe. Oh my goodness. That was an amazing I'm so glad I got to try that breakfast. I uh I still think about those sponge cakes. So they sell sponge cakes over there at Spongy's Cafe in New York, Chinatown. Oh my goodness. I mean, I got like a hot cocoa, I got like a chocolate chip sponge cake, and it was the fluffiest, sweetest. It was just the right amount of sweet. And it was also like so soft and so fluffy at the same time. It was the perfect sponge cake. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I have to have more of this. So, and they trick you. They trick you really good because they know you can't just have one. They know you just can't have two. So I had one chocolate chip. I had one of their original sponge cakes. Then I got a cappuccino sponge cake and then another chocolate chip sponge cake. Oh my goodness. And I would dip it into the hot chocolate, and it was so delicious. It was one of the best breakfasts out there. I really enjoyed it. I can't express how soft and how spongy those cakes were. They really were top of the line. So shout out to them at Spongy's Cafe in Chinatown. Then after that, we there was this New York bagel place called Essa Bagel that I went to go try out. They had, I mean, it was a really good bagel. I got like a cinnamon raisin bagel with like regular cream cheese on it. It was really good. And then I also went to like another deli and got like a regular bagel from there. Not like any extra additives on it, just a regular bagel. So yeah, I got like a random deli. I got a bagel from there, and then I went to Essa Bagel and I got a cinnamon raisin bagel with cream cheese on that. So both were really good, and I really enjoyed it. So now I get to some of the attractions I went to go see. So I wanted to go see the Statue of Liberty. That was a big one. So to begin, I had to get on a ferry. So you have to get boat tickets, and they have like this city, like Liberty Island ferry, like just that you have to get on, and then from there it'll take you to the Liberty Island where the Statue of Liberty is. So getting onto the boat was pretty easy. It was very quick. It was very fast, and it helped because we got there so early. Got there like, I think we got there like around 8 a.m. or something like that. And then we get on the ferry and then to the top floor immediately. So I got on the top floor every single time I went on the boat out there. I got to see the city. I got to see, experience the water. It was just a great time up there. So anyways, there's a point where, oh, but the boat would keep on swaying. I mean, obviously it's in the water, but like just the swaying of it kind of like messes you up a bit. You know what I mean? It kind of knocks you off balance, but whatever. That's not important. As they set sail towards the Liberty Island, you're kind of just admiring the city, and then bam, before you know it, you're right in front of the Statue of Liberty. You see it, and you're on the boat still, and you're sailing towards where they're going to drop you off, and you're just looking at it, taking pictures, videos, anything you can, and you're just admiring how beautiful it is, and you're kind of just like, wow. It's crazy. It's right there in front of you. You see it in movies and TV shows, pictures, paintings. Like everybody is so about it. But then to actually see it in front of you is just absolutely beautiful. It really is the best thing ever. So then we get on the island, go over to the Statue of Liberty, and it's just picture after picture after picture, just looking up at it. Looking up at her, I mean, admiring it, seeing it so green, so tall, so like that thing could tip over and fall on me and there wouldn't be anything I could do. I would just immediately get crushed. just crazy. A great symbol of liberty, of freedom, of America. It meant, I mean, it was just so gorgeous to look at. It was really something to see. And I was so thankful to be there. And I just kept reminding myself of like, there was so much that went into just being here and being a part of it. And it means so much for other people to come, imagining what other people's experiences were coming into America. And it really is a beautiful monument. It's really a beautiful statue. And it's a great representation of who we should be and try to be. So I really liked it. And then there was like a tour guide giving tours. We weren't a part of it, but we just overheard him talking. And he was kind of just telling us like, what is the Statue of Liberty's name? And like, I didn't know. I was just like, it's not called the Statue of Liberty. It's like, it does actually have a name. It's called Liberty Enlightening the World. And he talked to us about like some of the, about how she's walking away from like shackles or chains, and how that liberty is achieved. It's not like a given. It's not like something that you're automatically freely obtaining. It's liberty is achieved. And when you walk past the shackles that hold you or that the past hold us, it's about going after what you want, essentially. And I thought that was a great message. Then there was the Liberty Museum, and they kind of had like this 3-movie documentary explaining like how the Statue of Liberty happened and like the whole experience. So it was like, it was a 3-part documentary. So you go and sit down in one room and you see a projection, and they play like the movie. Then you stand up and go to the other room and they play another part of the movie. Then you stand up and go to another part of the movie. And they kind of do that so that way they can get like multiple people in and out at the same time. So it's not always like cluttered with people. And in the Liberty Museum, they have the original torch, because they had to take the original torch down. And, okay. They had to take the original torch down because the original torch, I think it was kind of like, it just wasn't, it was not sustainable up there anymore. It was cool, but then they eventually had to take it down. They had to like fix it up, essentially, fixing up the Statue of Liberty. So they took it down and they replaced it with like another thing that was more to the artist's vision who created the Statue of Liberty. So that was cool, getting to see the original torch. Then after that, you go back on the ferry and you can go to Ellis Island, and there they have the Ellis Island Immigration Museum. And there they kind of show you how people came to America. Like, they would get to the island, they would see the Statue of Liberty, they would come to the island, and they would people would just kind of go through these quick process examinations, and some people would get deported back, some people were in good health, some people were having to be examined, but they were like a little traumatized and uncomfortable because they had never been examined. So it became like a whole, just figuring out like what it took to get into this country. And while I was there, I was kind of just like, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bored. I was a little out of it. I was a little tired because like after seeing the Statue of Liberty, and then like walking around and doing the whole thing, I just kind of was a little out of it. And there was also like so much to see at the Immigration Museum, and it was kind of hard to figure out like, all right, what should I like really pay attention to? They give you like an audio guide, but everybody was packed in line to get those audio guides, so I thought it would be just better to walk around it and figure it out as you go. but they showed like how they would do examinations, what it was like for women getting examinations. It became like a whole thing. But I guess what was most important was that like there was a process in place to get people into this country, and we have progressed so far. And it just makes you think like this is what people would do to escape, the other horrors of the world and go somewhere for a fresh start, a new chance, an opportunity. And that's America, I think that's such a beautiful thing to it. So after that, I did go to a few Broadway shows. And I gotta say, I mean, I've been to like theater performances before. I've been to theater shows, but it's nothing like Broadway. I mean, everything on Broadway is so expertly crafted. It's so on point. You know what I mean? Like, you do like a regular local theater show, you're going to see like a little mishaps here and there. You're going to see like people are going to mess up, people are going to make mistakes, and for the most part, people play it off. You know what I mean? But in this one, there was no mistakes. I mean, the whole cast kind of does the show every single night, and they do it like every weekend, every weekday. Like they perform multiple times to do like thousands of shows, hundreds upon thousands of shows. And so there's really no room for error. They can get better and better every time. But like the lead vocalists, the lead singers, all of those people to perform multiple times effectively and beautifully and hit the notes perfectly every single time to give everybody an amazing show. I mean, bravo. I mean, that's just amazing. So in New York, I got to see Hamilton. I saw Hamilton on Saturday night. I had never seen Hamilton prior. I kind of like heard of the soundtrack. I knew it was a big deal, but I knew Lin-Manuel Miranda was a part of it. I just didn't know all that much about his life, his background, and all of the stuff that was going on with him. So essentially watching it for the first time here, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I couldn't there was some dialogue or some singing that was like went by really quickly, and I couldn't exactly hear them, or I didn't exactly like know, oh my gosh, what are you saying there? Like what that line of dialogue was. I needed some subtitles, but other than that, I could follow along, and I thought it was great. Then after that, the next night, I went to go see Wicked. And that was, I mean, just the retelling of the story of The Wizard of Oz, the fun, the characters. It was so charming and sweet, but also like very funny and giggly and kind of like modern. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was so good. I felt like Wicked was... And the two actresses who played Elphaba and Glinda were understudies. So they weren't even the main actresses hired to perform. They were the understudies. And they were absolutely incredible. They were absolutely wonderful. They were top of the line. I could not fathom how great they were. They were just so perfect. And they played the parts perfectly. And I had never seen the show before, so I have no idea I had no idea of the show beforehand. So if I ever like watch it like on video again, they're going to be, I mean, they're really tough to beat. I thought they were just super amazing. And the actresses killed it. And the whole cast really was great. They were so funny and smart and charming. I really enjoyed that musical. So shout out to them. Then on the following day, no, I think it was earlier that day. It was Central Park. I got to go to Central Park, and I mean, what can't you say about Central Park? It's so green. It was so amazing. It was a beautiful park. It was a beautiful place to be. There was no place you could go that you couldn't look and there wasn't somebody enjoying the day. Somebody with their dog, somebody running, somebody on their bike, somebody just laying down reading a book. Like, there was so much going on in the city. It was so beautiful to see. It was so fun. And I went to the zoo. The Central Park Zoo. It was just kind of like a little children, like a little kid zoo. It wasn't like a huge, like, they didn't have like a whole lot of animals, but they had like a good amount of them. So let's see, there was, they fed the sea lions. Well, they also fed the penguins. So they fed the penguins. I saw that. And they were just like, they were so full of energy. They would like swallow a fish and then they would jump into the water. They would like wave at people. They would, they would swim, they would dive down, they would like come to the glass windows and they would say hi to the people and the kids and stuff. It was so cool to see and so fun. The sea lions too. The sea lions also were jumping up on the glass and like waving to people, and we got to see them feed the sea lions. They would do tricks. They would jump up from the water. They would touch like these like little rods, these poles. They would jump up and they would do that. They would swim, and it was just so cool to see them. And like, in that way, they reminded me of dogs. It was just really cool. And then we saw the seals, and they were just like zooming back and forth in the water. They would just zoom, and then they would come back, do a circle, and then go back and zoom. It was really cool to see. And then there was snow leopards, and I was like, snow leopards? I was like, they must really love it in the wintertime. Because, like, right now, they did, I mean, I got to see them, obviously. They were walking around. But at the same time, it was kind of like, they're snow leopards. They shouldn't be here. They should be in the snow. So I thought it was just kind of like, oh, that's funny. Then there was the Museum of Natural History I got to go look at, and they had this theater room, or like this movie room, and they would play this documentary on blue whales, and it was what's it called? Commentated by. They would do voiceover. It was a voiceover. They would kind of just explain the documentary and whatnot. So it was commentated by Andy Serkis, and oh my goodness, that blue whale documentary was absolutely fantastic. I was sitting in there and I was watching it, and I thought to myself, this has got to be the greatest. I mean, I was absolutely amazed by the story of them, of blue whales, and kind of like the research that goes into them, the scientists and what they do, how they study them, being out on the water, learning about them, and all of the marine life. They're studying blue whales, and the focus is on blue whales, but it's also on what they eat. It's also about other predators. It's also about why the population of them is so low, and also like why their population is so important to expand, and what it takes for us to like put procedures in place to protect them and to make them live good life, So that blue whale documentary really did so much for me. But there were other parts of the Natural History Museum that were also really great. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, this is where they shot Night of the Museum. Like, I was just like, this is where Ben Stiller, this is where they were doing the whole spiel. This is the whole thing. So it was really funny, and it was really cool to be in a place where you kind of like had seen and had some like knowledge of. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was the best. There was also the Met. the Met Museum, and that one was completely different than the Natural History Museum. They were both museums, and they both had like really great exhibits, but the Met had like these beautiful paintings that I couldn't stop staring at. They had like great statues. They had like this Egyptian exhibit, and they had like all of the tombs and whatnot. They had like actual stone that was like carved and painted and made from Egypt there. It was so cool to see. They had all of these wonderful paintings and drawings, and it was so... I got it. Like, I was like, who would go to the museum and just look at a painting? But then when you're there, you just can't help but constantly stare at it. You know, that's just how I felt about it. I saw like one good photo, one good picture, and I was just like, I just want to sit here and enjoy it. Like, I just want to like take it all in. It was beautiful. I think there was a painting of George Washington like sailing somewhere, I forget where. But it was just like that famous photo of him like on the boat, one leg up, and he's just kind of like going forward, and somebody's holding on to the American flag and whatnot. Kind of like that. Saw that one. That was a huge painting. And then little paintings here and there that were also really nice. So then after that, there was Rockefeller. So you could go up to the top of Rockefeller, and you can like kind of look at the city all around you. But unfortunately, the day that was decided to go up to the top of the Rockefeller was the day it was really rainy and cloudy. So when we got up to the top, it was zero visibility of the city. We were completely in the clouds, and it was also like drizzling and raining on us, on me. So as it would drizzle down, it was just, it was nice, you know. Obviously, I didn't get to see the city in the way that like was kind of planned or intended or really wanted to, but to go up there, you could still hear the city. And I can still picture it now. I can still feel it now with my eyes closed a bit. It was drizzling, so like, and I was wearing like my hoodie, and I was wearing like a cap. I was wearing a hat that I got, and the rain would hit my cap so softly, so gently that it felt like ASMR up there. It was really peaceful. It was really cool. It was windy. It was nice. It was very refreshing up there. And I'm pretty sure that like it was just peaceful. And it also felt like, you know how like you'll sometimes listen to like cityscape ASMR, city ambience ASMR with rain. Like that was that. Like that was that. In real life, I got to experience that. And I recorded it just so that way I could feel it again. And it was so peaceful in a different way. Not in like obviously we didn't get to observe and see the city like was intended, but I did get to experience the top of the rock in a different way, in a fun way, in a cool way. And I really enjoyed it. It was so cool. So then after that, there was Chinatown. Chinatown was really cool. I already said Spongies, and we went to another rice noodle place that was really good. But there was also like an Italian festival going on. So it wasn't just like, I was like kind of weirded out by it, because I was like, why is there an Italian festival in, in Chinatown? What's all that about? So I was like, let's go check it out. And walking through it, you kind of saw like there was a Ferris wheel, there was all kinds of vendors that were selling like little figurines and necklaces, sunglasses. They were selling lemonades and food. And I remember so clearly, we walked past these vendors of like fried Oreo, funnel cakes, and and they were selling like Zipoli. I don't know how to say it. It's Zipol or Zipoli. And we get to like the end of the walk. Well, not like the end, but like near the end of it. And I was thinking to myself, like, let me try. Let me just get one. Let me get one. I ended up getting 6. They sell them in 6. So I got 6 Zipoli. And then the lady that was there, she hooked it up with the powdered sugar. She just sprinkled like 3 huge spoonfuls in there and then gave me the bag. And then I opened it up and it's these crispy, soft, warm, fluffy Zipolis. And I ate one, dude. It was the best. It was the absolute best. They were fantastic. They were sugary, but they were fluffy and also like crispy on the outside from being fried. It was like the perfect end to the festival for me. Like I saw everything and then like my reward was that Zipoli. It was the best. But then immediately after we got after the Zipoli, the Brooklyn Bridge. We took the subway to the Brooklyn Bridge, and after we got to the Brooklyn Bridge, there was this ice cream shop, this famous Brooklyn ice cream place, like in the middle of the night. Still open. So shout out to them. They were still open for us, and I got in there. I got a coffee ice cream on like a regular wafer cone, and it was the best ice cream ever. I just feel like that day, the food just tasted so much better that day. I don't know. I couldn't explain why, but I got some pictures of the Brooklyn Bridge. There, you could see the Statue of Liberty. You could see the city and at nighttime and all of its glory. It was so beautiful. And then ice cream, everything just fit. And then like I ate some Zipoli with the ice cream. So it was like a good mix of like sweet, creamy, just some delicious sweet treats on the side of like our in New York City, to see the Brooklyn Bridge there. You could see the Statue of Liberty off to the side. You could see everything. It was like a perfect spot, and it was at nighttime, so it was like the city was alive, but it was also kind of peaceful, and there wasn't like a lot of people there, so it was just like a nice little escape. And I just remember I fell in love with everything that day. I just fell in love with the city. I fell in love with the ice cream, the Zipoli, the Italian festival, with Chinatown, with the Rockefeller. Everything was so cool and exciting. And it felt like everything just kind of worked out. And overall, when you're in New York City, enjoy it. Enjoy it and take and absorb as much of it as you can. Don't ever look up at the city skyline and look up at the skyscrapers and the buildings and think to yourself like, it's become normal now. No, take it all in and remember how amazing it is, how fantastic it is, because it is. It's right there. It's so cool. And I was thinking to myself, like, Spider-Man just swings through all this. Like, isn't that nuts? That's so crazy. And I was also thinking to myself, like, imagine, like, the superheroes destroying the city. Or, like, the supervillain attacking and then, just, like, the destruction of it. Like, the chaos is just nuts. So, when you're in New York City, enjoy it truly. And just appreciate the city, Maybe not the smoke and the rats and some of the other things out there, but it's still just such a wonderful place to be. It really is just an amazing city. It is without a doubt, like it is a concrete jungle where dreams are made of. So I just feel like when you're in New York City, you gotta take it in and you gotta appreciate it. You gotta love it. And if you do, I'm sure it'll give it right back to you. So anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys all like this long, well, not long, but just kind of like my whole experience of it. And I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.